I'd like to convene the meeting of the City Council for June 19. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the roll.
Kenny.
Here.
Belzak.
Here.
Sullivan.
Here.
Shower.
Here.
Legansky.
Here.
Gustafson.
Here.
Stompanato.
Here.
7 present.
We have a quorum. That takes us to questions and comments and announcements of a general nature. It's an opportunity for the public to make comments about or ask questions about things that might be on the agenda or not on the agenda. Anybody in the audience have anything they'd like to say? If not, we'll move to the approval of minutes for June 5th, 2023. Could I have a motion to approve those minutes? Alderman Legansky, seconded by Alderman Belzak. Any questions or comments? None. The roll.
Legansky.
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
Gustafson.
Aye.
Kenny.
Abstain.
Shower.
Aye.
Stompanato.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
6 ayes and 1 abstention.
Minutes have been approved. Takes us to receiving of communications. Do any of the aldermen have communications they'd like to share? Alderman Kenny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had one communication from Vince Esposito in the 7300 block of Summit. He was concerned about the trucks that are on the adjacent block on GG Lane that are, backed up, parking overnight for the next couple of weeks due to the street resurfacing project in my ward. And I just, kind of let him know that it's a short term. Please, forgive the forgiveness, but a lot of people come to Darien because of what we do to the streets. This is just one of those inconveniences, and he understood, so we're good.
Anyone else? Alderman Gustafson.
Yeah, a couple of them here. First was an email from a resident regarding the status of the street maintenance on Pitcher Drive. Chris Throm provided an update to the resident, and actually work was done today, and the resident now is happy. He's got his car inside his garage, so he's a happy camper at this point. The other thing is, I did attend the Woodridge Village meeting last Thursday night regarding the distribution center development. I spoke there with my personal views and not the views of the city of Darien, but they did, so people know, they did vote to approve the development. There were probably about 45 comments from Woodridge, Downers Grove, and Darien residents, almost all voicing their opposition to the development.
And what was the vote, Aaron?
It was just one was against it. The rest were for.
So it was like a 6-1 vote?
Yeah.
Was this the village board or plan commission?
Village board. So this is the final.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be fair for him to explain a little bit more? Residents may not be aware of what he's talking about.
Well, they're putting in a 212,000 square foot facility, just to pretty much where Woodmere is on the other side of the street, and 30 some docks, but the docks can be expanded. The one concession they did make, they did restrict the hours, no deliveries after 10 o'clock and none before 6 a.m. So they did change that from the last presentation. But like I say, there were a lot of people voicing the concern. My concerns were regarding the safety of District 66 children and stuff that have to travel. According to District 66, there are over 600 children that travel from the west side of Lamont Road to the east side of Lamont Road. And they do that in various ways. And also, my concern was for the people of Woodmere getting in and out of their facility. Now, they might get lucky and have, like what Darien did, and have a volleyball club and a tile shop, but they could end up with trucking distribution center that will increase the amount of trucks at the location.
Was there any discussion, Eric, about them putting in a traffic light there?
No.
That happens?
No discussion. No, they are going to put some additional turn lanes so the trucks can get into and out of the facility, but nothing, no street lights.
Eric, that'll be just to the north of the storage facility?
That's correct.
Okay. So it'll actually be right across the street from Woodmere.
Pretty much so, yeah, just a little kitty corner, but really right there.
Okay. Thanks for attending that meeting.
Yeah, it was 3 hours.
You get overtime.
Yeah. But it was well worth it.
Anything else, Mary?
I did have resident Karen Alavi reach out to me. Her area was experiencing sporadic power outages with ComEd. And I looped Alderman Shower in because it was mostly happening in Ward 1. It even happened to him. And city staff was able to get in touch with our ComEd rep and, get some analysis and information to them. So, and then I just wanted to ask Dan, what's the status? I saw some communications and there was some emails about the Honeybee Farm parking situation.
Yeah, so
Weekend.
last week we went out there, reevaluated based on some of the comments. It was basically a bottleneck that was occurring right at the hangar, if you want to say, immediately north of the hangar, a little bit of south, and the bottleneck was also due to the the east side, because they were parking there. So additionally, we put up an additional no parking anytime, and we put up some temporary barricades, no parking on some barricade signs. So we'll have to take a look at the ordinance on whether or not we need to amend the ordinance back to city council. I did receive some feedback Friday from some of the residents via text, and it was a lot better. I understand there could be some bottleneck issues in the township area now, so we're going to be reaching out to the township as well for potential no parking on the east side or west side, whatever's going to really work out there. Also, we're going to be changing out the sign as soon as you get into the Creekside off of Creekside into the subdivision there. We're going to make it a larger sign, more coloring. It'll be of a blue background versus a white and red, so it'll be a little more pronounced, and just to let residents know, here it is, along with the ordinance number on there for the police enforcement activities.
The issue, Mary, is that she's planning on having 6 to 7 parties this year where she's inviting over 200 people.
No, I'm aware, yeah.
And last weekend, I got a lot of emails and had a lot of my, my fellow residents.
Yeah, because you're right there.
I'm right there. And we had people pulling in the subdivision and parking in the subdivision. And even this Saturday, now when I came
was very
back in
busy.
about 10:15 or so, there was no
Garage sale.
bottleneck. But my wife indicated to me that later in the day, closer to 1 o'clock or so, there was a bottleneck there again.
Yes.
Where a ambulance would not have been able to get through into the subdivision if we needed one, let alone a fire truck. So there still is a problem there.
Yeah, I drove by there on Saturday. It was very busy. And it was their annual garage sale too, so they kind of
Yeah.
even made it busier in the area.
It's a real issue, and I don't see it. I think, Dan made a great effort to put up those barricades. And for the most part, there was nobody parking there, but they were still parking in front of Mrs. Miller's house, which is right across from the hangar, and it created parking on both sides of the road, which is a major issue. So maybe, I don't know, Dan, maybe it'll come down to the point where we have to have a police officer monitoring that situation when she has these big crowds.
Correct, on detail, yeah, special detail or whatever the police
And then
department
charge it,
refers
and
to
then
it, yeah.
charge it back to her.
Right, that's a conversation we haven't broached yet, but again, we want to take some alternatives.
Somewhere.
I know when I've been there before, I have not for anything this year necessarily, but for the farmers markets and things in the past, she's had staff people do parking control. Is she just not doing that, or are they just staying at the fence and at the gate and not like coming out onto Kearney?
That's correct. It's my
Okay.
understanding they're at the gate only, and there's no additional enforcement outside the gate.
And the thing is, we expanded the road on each side.
Right. Oh, no, we've already invested.
And if you
Efforts.
And if you look at how they park, I mean, they pull right onto that, but they could actually go a couple feet further over. So you're not even taking advantage of what we did to expand the road, which is a shame. I mean, and she actually paid the money for that to be done to that road. She picked up the cost of that. And I told the residents, let's give it a chance. Let's see if it'll work. Well, it worked in certain areas, but it didn't work where you had the home over here and the hangar over there. That was the bad place. And then it went all the way down Kearney,
Wasn't from the
all the way
school.
down Kearney Road. So I see this as becoming an issue again in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had that type of event, can they just use, for example, the District 66 schools and stuff there and bus people into the center and just do it shuttle buses and go that route?
Somebody mentioned that maybe she should have a trolley service that
Yeah.
drops people off.
I mean, seriously.
It's something we could
The
mention.
school's
to her.
right there. You could easily, it's not 5 minutes away.
It's a very popular place on Fridays and
Oh,
Saturdays.
very busy.
It really is. And she made the property look beautiful. I mean, what she does there
Oh, it's gorgeous.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And the educational programming that she does for kids is wonderful.
Yep.
You know, I can't comment anything negative about that, but the parking is a real issue. Because residents in my subdivision, that's the only
Parking
way
garage.
in and that's the only way out. And that's a real issue.
Yep.
Anything else? Anyone else? All right, it takes us to the mayor's report. And tonight, we have a new appointment and several reappointments to our Economic Development Committee. Item A is consideration of a motion to approve the appointment of Stephen Warnicki to the Economic Development Committee. Could I have a motion to approve? Alderwoman Sullivan and seconded by Alderman Belzak. Any questions or comments? If none, the roll.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Stompanato,
Aye.
Legansky,
Aye.
7 ayes.
And then we go to item B, consideration of motion to approve the reappointment of Thomas Pappas, who's our chairman, Jonathan Christ, Robert Hahn, Lou Mallers, Robert Taft, and Matthew Weberling to the Economic Development Committee. These are all reappointments. Could I have a motion to approve? Alderman Belzak, seconded by Alderman Gustafson. Any questions or comments? If none, the roll.
Belzak.
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Stompanato,
Aye.
Legansky,
Aye.
7 ayes.
Could all those individuals come forward to get sworn in?
Come up here.
It's quite a crowd.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of Illinois. And that I will faithfully discharge. The duties of. Economic Development Committee. According to the best of my ability. Congratulations. May I need you to sign this. And then this one is for you. And Lou, I have a card for you. Tom.
That'll be $1, dude.
Oh, wait.
It's a refund.
Did I give you the right one there? Oh, no, this is for Steve. I'm sorry. Okay, I gave you the wrong, that's okay. Steve, could you please sign this card? I'm
With
sorry.
his name.
I'm sorry about that.
Steve's the new
I
guy.
gave it to the wrong person.
The new guy has to fill out two cards.
Thank you, and then this is for you. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
And that's a great committee, and they've worked very hard on behalf of the city. And I welcome all of you for coming back for another couple years, so thank you very much. That takes us to our proclamation. As you know, today is June 19th, it's Juneteenth, and I'd like to read the following proclamation. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, declaring the slaves in the Confederate territory free, therefore paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery. And whereas news of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed until June 19th, 1865, in reaching authorities and African Americans in the South and Southwestern United States. And whereas June 19th holds special meaning to all Americans and is celebrated as Juneteenth and has been observed and celebrated for over 150 years. And whereas Juneteenth is the oldest known holiday to celebrate the end of slavery in the United States. And whereas the City of Darien will observe Monday, June 19th, 2023, as part of our commitment to anti-racism, racial and social justice, encouraging a day of reflection, recognition, and acknowledgement of healing. We recognize the continued need to battle racism and to continue our efforts to build a more peaceful and cohesive community. Now, therefore, I, Joseph A. Marquez, Mayor of the City of Darien, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth Community Celebration Day in the City of Darien, and I urge all residents to join in the celebration. I'm very happy to read that proclamation, and again, withstanding what happened this weekend in unincorporated Willowbrook, it's my feeling that this was an important proclamation to read, and it's best that people understand how the City of Darien is looking for racial harmony and will push for racial harmony. With that, then, we need to go on to our city clerk's report. Joanne?
I have a couple of items. The July 3rd city council meeting has been canceled. The next city council meeting will be held on Monday, July 17th, and the Darien city offices will be closed on Tuesday, July 4th, in observance of Independence Day.
Thank you, Joanne. City Administrator's report, Brian?
No report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Takes us to department head information and questions. And tonight we have Chief Thomas and Deputy Chief Norton, who are going to be giving us their annual report, and they're going to be giving us, holding some department recognitions, which I think are always enjoyable.
You will.
Right?
So thank you to Mayor, City Council, and others in attendance to come tonight for the recognition of officers who've earned some certain awards. Also appreciate the opportunity to talk about 2022 in review. Mayor, aldermen, other city officials and employees and public in general are very good at saying thanks. And we're very happy to receive those thanks, and we believe that thank you for our job, our duty, and our obligations have been, those well wishes are very genuine, and they're very appreciated. We had no discussions on defunding the police. We had no protests. In reality, we had no reforms, as our house was in order. How can I say we had no police reforms when the state enacted this Safety Act? We looked at the possibility of racial profiling through traffic tickets well before the state law was enacted. We held ourselves to the standard of the Safety Act regarding the use of force, totality of circumstances, before the legislation. Regarding low-level crimes, Class A and B, or Class B and C misdemeanors such as minor criminal damage and the like, we already were issuing citations and not making arrests. In addition, we also typically issue ordinance violations for those situations, which is a fine only. We investigated anonymous citizen complaints before the legislation. If a complainant refused to sign a complaint against an officer, which was required by the Uniformed Peace Officers Disciplinary Act, RUPOTA, we still investigated it. We had vehicle cameras and were moving toward body-worn cameras before the legislation was passed. We implemented body-worn cameras well before the 2025 mandate. We periodically review a percentage of the videos before the legislative requirement. We investigate every use of force before the law change. We disclose our blemishes to the public in the annual report. We were way ahead of the state. The thin blue line gets a negative connotation. However, considering police make up about 0.1% of the U.S. population, standing between the criminal element wanting to do harm and law-abiding citizens just wanting to go about their life, it is definitely a thin blue line of protection. Officers spend time on crime, crashes, and concerns in order to serve and protect the population we swore an oath to protect. The thin blue line does not give police authority to do whatever it wants in order to serve and protect. It means we have been given certain discretion to exercise relative to powers of arrests and the ability to use force. But that force and that use of an arrest has certain applications to be applied morally, ethically, and constitutionally. In 2022, we had one sustained allegation by a citizen regarding the conduct of an officer, resulting in the officer receiving an oral reprimand. Even though we had 14,000 plus interactions, 6,800 plus citations, and 450 arrests. Officers are doing very well. Appreciate all the work that they do. This data that you see on the screen is from Law Enforcement Killed and Assaulted Summary, commonly referred to as LEOCA. The last full year is 2021. The report, with 7,886 agencies employing 354,144 officers, found that assaults against officers increased 11% between 2020 and 2021. Assaults by the use of a weapon increased by 10.5%. Officers sustaining an injury increased 18%. A lot of numbers. And what does that all mean? It means about 11% of our officers are attacked annually, and it happens everywhere, even here. Officers responded to a subject and mental health crisis 70 times in Darien during 2022. DuPage County saw over 3,500 cases of response to mental health, and that doesn't include Aurora or Naperville because they don't report on the same software that we do. Officers are trained in crisis intervention tactics. Officers are trained in de-escalation skills. Again, nothing new from the Safety Act, as we have already been doing that for a long time. Officers do their best to defuse a situation and get the subject the help they needed. The use of 988 versus 911 for mental health assistance is coming into existence. Mental health care professionals will be responding to mental health calls when the call for mental health assistance does not have an element of self-harm or harm to others. So now it's up to Jason to bring the rest of it.
Thank you, Chief. So 2022 in review here, what we have is letters of appreciation for our officers. There were 33 in total. 25 of them originated from citizens, 8 of them from other agencies when we were assisting, helping out in whatever capacity, whether asked, not asked, however it might be. The department issued 11 letters of accommodation and 3 awards for AIM Awards, which are the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists. Sorry. So that's just a quick synopsis right there. Running toward threats. We hear of news of first responders running towards a threat while others run away. It's not a put on to others. It's just simply sometimes during active shooter events, things of that nature, normal people are going to run away. Well, that's not what we do. We run towards those events as appropriate. It's a little bit cliche, it's a little bit overused, but it's the truth. And we do that in Darien here as well. I have a video here for you. And Chief, I think I'm gonna do this the right way. So this is one event where we were running towards the event. You can see that there's that vehicle on fire. There's a subject that's injured right there. And we are assisting Woodridge officers while getting this individual out of the vehicle. That car was sheared in two after it struck a tree. If I can have Officers Aplowski, and I would ask Samoji to be here. He was not able to be here with us tonight. Chris, you want to come on up here? I'm going to give you a brief synopsis on this one. Officer Aplowski and Samoji on June 26, 2022 were dispatched to assist Bolingbrook Police Department for an active shooter at WeatherTech warehouse. Officer Aplowski and Samoji responded immediately to the scene and assisted with protecting and treating injured victims inside the warehouse. After searching the warehouse, it was determined that the offender who had fled the scene. Officers Aplowski and Samoji assisted with searching the surrounding areas, and during the search, Officers Aplowski and Samoji were advised that the resident had observed the offender shortly after the shooting. Officer Aplowski and Samoji immediately responded to the location and saw the offender next to a fence. Officer Aplowski and Samoji arrested him and recovered the firearm used in this attack, was found in his backpack that was near the fence. In part due to their actions, the offender was apprehended, no additional members of the public were harmed, and evidence of the crime was collected. Please join me in congratulating Officer Oplowski and Samoji. Yep, thank you.
The awards are already given out, so there's nothing to hand.
We also have had officers respond to Oak Brook Mall shooting, Aurora Mass shooting, unincorporated DuPage County, and not including the most recent one, shootings and others. Officer Cano and Jump, would you please come up here? Officer Cano and Sergeant Jump on March 11th, 2023, around 6:30 in the morning, were dispatched to a subject wanted out of Dalton Police for an aggravated battery with a firearm. He was fleeing the scene but crashed in the area of I-55 and Route 83. Additional information was the offender fled on foot through the neighborhoods near Clarendon Hills Road just north of I-55. Officer Cano responded and located the subject hiding behind a large bush. Officer Cano ordered the subject to show his hands. At that time, Sergeant Jump assisted Officer Cano. Officer Cano and Sergeant Jump took the suspect into custody without incident. This is the pictured weapon that Officer Cano found. It was located in a nearby location. Thank you, gentlemen. While I have Officer Cano up here, we'll continue here. See, no, went too fast.
Just hit the backspace.
Did I go forward? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Apologies.
Roll down. Hit the backspace.
And backspace again.
You just go.
Yeah, no, I'm there. I'm scrolling down. I'm just clicking too quick. All right. Officer Cano on September 4th, 2022, at approximately 11:30 p.m., conducted a traffic stop while speaking with the driver, smelled an odor of cannabis. Officer Cano searched the vehicle and was able to retrieve cannabis. In doing so, he saw someone had tampered with the plastic covering below the steering column, and inside was a handgun. Officer Cano retrieved the firearm and arrested the driver. Upon searching the driver, Officer Cano located bullets in the driver's front pocket. Officer Cano found that the firearm was stolen in a burglary in 2018. Officer Cano determined that the driver was on parole for aggravated discharge of a firearm and did not have a valid FOID car. Due to Officer Cano's attentiveness and proactive patrol work, he recovered a stolen firearm. The driver, who had a lengthy, violent criminal record, was charged with felony possession of a firearm. Well done. Thank you. Well, I still have you up here. Officer Cano. On January 1, 2022, at 11:59 p.m., Officer Conrad Cano was dispatched to the 1100 block of Plainfield Road for a subject having heart attack. Upon arrival, he found the victim on the ground, face up, not breathing, and his face was beginning to turn purple. Officer Cano began CPR and administered 2 AED shocks. The victim was transported to the hospital. Well done. Thank you. Thank you. The next award is for our auxiliary officer, Keith Buckles. He was not able to be here with us tonight, but I'll still go through and read on his behalf. On October 6, 2022, at 8:49 p.m., auxiliary officer Keith Buckles was patrolling the 3400 block of Drover Lane when he saw a vehicle parked at the end of the driveway. Auxiliary officer Buckles observed a driver, 31 years of age, male, conscious, and bleeding from both of his arms. Auxiliary Officer Keith Buckles requested Darien Woodridge paramedics who transported the man to Good Sam Hospital. Hospital staff later advised that they surgically repaired the injuries, and it appeared the subject would make a full recovery. Thanks to Officer Buckles' diligence, the life of the man was saved. So if we can give him a round of applause. Officer Nelson Servin and Dave Malazzo. I think Officer Nelson is here, but Officer Malazzo was not able to be here. On March 11th, oh, I see I'm going too quick again. I need to keep that cursor where it belongs. On March 11th, 2022, at 6:33 p.m., Officer Servin responded to an overdose victim who was unconscious and not breathing. Officer Servin administered 2 doses of Narcan and gave the victim CPR. Officer Milazzo arrived and administered a third dose of Narcan. Tri-State Fire Department arrived and determined the victim had a pulse and transported the victim to an area hospital. Medical personnel advised the victim had regained consciousness. So all the officers who received these awards have already been given them previously. We get to try to give it to them at roll call and whatnot and do this in front of their peers. So Chief Thomas has spoke about officers placing themselves in harm's way to protect others. In 2022, Officer Milazzo, who is not able to be here with us tonight, took his canine Axel to Aurora to conduct a canine track of a murder, and he did locate that subject. Officer Nelson, please come up here. Officer Nick Nelson, on July 4th, 2022, at 11:25 p.m., Officer Nelson responded to a drowning victim who was unconscious, not breathing, and face was blue. Officer Nelson located a victim, a 50-year-old male, lying on the ground next to a pool. Officer Nelson immediately began chest compressions and asked a nurse who was present to prepare the AED. The victim began breathing while Officer Nelson was applying chest compressions. The coloring in the victim's face began to return to normal, and the victim started breathing on his own. Darien Woodridge Fire Department arrived on scene and transported the victim to the hospital, where his condition stabilized. The Darien Woodridge Fire Department lieutenant commended Officer Nelson for his outstanding work in retrieving the victim prior to their arrival. Also for Officer Nelson, on April 15th, 2022, at 8:17 p.m., he responded to the residents of a drug overdose. The victim, a 23-year-old male, overdosed on heroin, was unconscious and not breathing. Officer Nelson located the victim lying on the floor in a bedroom. Officer Nelson gave the victim 2 doses of Narcan and began CPR. Shortly thereafter, Tri-State Fire Department arrived and the victim started breathing again and opened his eyes. Due to the quick actions of Officer Nelson, the victim made a full recovery. Next award is for Officer Paulina Noga. She was not able to be here with us tonight, but I'll still read for her. On July 15th, 2022, at 11:41 p.m., Officer Noga was dispatched to a local hotel of a report of a male subject on the parking lot ground, unconscious, not breathing. When Officer Noga arrived on scene, she observed the male subject who was unconscious and had agonal breathing. Officer Noga administered a sternal rub for a few seconds with no change in condition. She then administered 1 dose of Narcan and continued the sternal rub. Still no change. She administered a second and third dose of Narcan, each time continuing a sternal rub and checking to see if there was any change in the condition of the subject. After the third dose of Narcan, the subject began to move and his breathing was shallow. The subject was transported to the hospital. I'll give her a round of applause, please. Beyond this type of service, the annual report discusses other ways officers have given up their time and finances to serve the community. Chief, I think that is the end of my extent.
Right, sit, there you go.
It's all yours, sir. Thank you.
So, pretty impressive group of officers you have. I'm very proud of them. Officers and support staff continue to work very hard to keep crime down. In the annual report, I painstakingly discussed the difference between UCR, Uniform Crime Reports, which started around 1930-ish or 33-ish with the FBI trying to figure out how to describe to the country the criminal element and what was going on, kind of like the gross national product does for financial stability of the country. NIBR's National Incident-Based Reporting System took over from NIBR's, and this is the first year that we're reporting. So there's a lot of issues between the two systems and how they report, and because I went into great detail in the annual report, I won't do that here. Driving the change in person crimes, which are up now, as assaults. They are up significantly due to NIBR's reporting. In the past, NIBR's or UCR reporting did not report domestic violence, and UCR did not take into account lower level types of assaults. Those are now there. So in the past, you saw maybe 6, 7, 8 assaults, and now they're whatever they are, 112. So a significant change, but it's a change in how it's being counted, not on how it's being crimes being committed. So that was a big change with uniform crime reports regarding person crimes. In the past, we also did property crimes. So under person crimes under UCR, we reported on murder, sexual assault, robbery, and assaults. And property, there was only 4 there as well. It was motor vehicle theft, burglary, and arson. Now there's a lot more categories that are being counted and a lot more subcategories that are in those numbers. Property crime is down, however, fraud, which was not reported under UCR rules, but does get counted under NIBR's rules, drove up the property crime numbers. Fraud cases, in most part, were false claims to unemployment. I know we had a number of personnel in the city that were victims of that silliness. They still occur. I just got one last week for an officer. So they're still handling. They're still occurring, but they're much less frequent. Identity theft and other acts of fraud remain very significant. We need to be consciously aware of those things going on. In the past, using UCR reporting rules, we used to add person crimes and property crime and get the total crime picture. NIBR's, however, added a 3rd level called societal crime. We'll discuss that in a moment. In an attempt, best that I can, to show change in crime over time, while managing the difference between UCR and NIBR's, I placed total crime here in the manner that you see, which is what you're kind of used to seeing already. So those are the numbers. The breakdown of new societal crime, drug charges were never counted under UCR. Well, they were counted under UCR, but not as a Part 1 crime. So drug charges with the virtual decriminalization of cannabis has decreased significantly. However, issues with overdoses, if we heard with the awards that you heard about, or here in the news, reports show over 100,000 deaths in a year in the United States from overdoses. We've done a lot. Our drug take-back program, the next door, saw 189 pounds of pills dropped off at the police department in 2022. The drugs that we get in cases that have been adjudicated and waiting 30 days for appeals, no appeals, we were then able to burn those items. We burned 205 items. DUMEG, which is that agency that we partner with in order to provide for drug enforcement, had 203 cases in 2022. The DEA agent that, or our officer that is assigned to the DEA as an agent, had over $150,000 worth of seizures in 2022. And our canine continues to do a lot of work with the drugs, and on page 11 of the report you can see that. So again, trying to get this idea across that, because you see that jump in crime, that's not a jump in crime or situations and those type of things. It's just a change in the way that we're doing the count. So graphically, here's the problem between UCR and NIBR's. There's a significant appearance of that change, significant change in crime. There hasn't been. Looking, for example, in 2020, by UCR reporting rules, we had 243 reportable offenses. But by NIBR's rules, we would have reported 808. So it's the same amount of crime. We didn't do anything with the books or anything like that. We didn't add a whole bunch of new crimes. We just went back in 2020 and counted the numbers like we would have under NIBR's reporting rules. Same thing in 2021. We reported via UCR 212 crimes, but NIBR's we would have reported 615. So I went back those 2 years in order to show somewhat of a trend. So in 2022, you'll see how much crime we had, and we didn't do UCR rules in 2022. So in this graph you saw before where I had person crime, property crime, and societal crime. Societal crime's not included in this because years past we never did societal crime. So in order to try the best I can, apples and apples change over time, I left that out. so we can try to get there, to get a true picture of what crime looks like. So, in the end, we appreciate the thank you that you've given, and we will also continue to run towards the threat, and we'll continue to do the best job that we can. So that's the end of my report. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, I'll answer any of those.
Any questions for Chief Thomas? Eric?
With the cannabis store opening soon, can you just update for residents the appropriate way when they do purchase the product from there for the transportation? Because I know there's confusion on that, and I think it's pretty simple, but can you kind of lay that out for people?
Certainly. It's very simple. You buy it, it's purchased in an airtight sealed canister, you leave it in there. It can't be any more simple than that. You get to the place, home or wherever you're going to partake, you leave the stuff or use it, and if you can put it back in the can, put it in the trunk. But if there's a smell of cannabis, burnt cannabis, the officers are probably going to make a search. As long as it's in that can, you're probably going to be okay. It's, all those cases that you see, I forget how, it's 35A and B. I don't remember what the numbers are, 60 or whatever, and I'm not sure how many of those 60 involved having the cannabis in either as a driver or passenger. Some of them are quite a significant number of those. All you got to do is just leave it in the canister that you purchased it in. It can't be any more simple than that.
And Brian, can we get to the store and make sure they're communicating that information to the people that are purchasing the product, so they are told that when they're purchasing it? I think that's
I'm not sure the
important.
procedures, but we'll check in there, see if they're already doing that. Sure.
Yeah, I would make sure they do, because I think that is important. We don't want to have issues here when we just get this thing
No,
opened.
it's no different than buying a bottle of wine or a
I
six-pack of beer
understand that,
and
but
popping
this-
open in a car, right?
But this is brand new. You know, a lot of people, I asked them, the residents by me, nobody had a clue. Well, it's like, I thought you can't, yeah, it's like, well, but see, there's just some confusion yet. Thank you.
Anything else for the chief? Chief, thank you very much, and
Yeah.
congratulations to the officer.
Thank you.
You know, we oftentimes say that we have the best police department in DuPage County, and tonight we had evidence to show that that's true. So,
Very lucky.
yeah, we are very lucky to live in the
Very
community
lucky.
we live in, and to have the chief and deputy chief and the officers that we have. So thank you very much, Chief Thomas, and thank you very much, Deputy Chief Norton. Appreciate it. I know we didn't get a chance to ask Dan any questions. Anybody have anything for Dan?
Yeah, Dan, when do we think we're going to be done with the streets for,
My goal right now is still July 4th.
oh, it's okay.
Yes.
Anything else for Dan? I know we asked questions in the work session, so, okay. All right, that takes us to our warrant. Treasurer Corrin?
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, I'm requesting council's approval, warrant number 232404, in the amount of $1,373,479.11 from the listed funds. Payroll for the period ended June 15th in the amount of $319,008.40, for a total to be approved of $1,692,487.51.
Motion to approve. Alderwoman Sullivan, seconded by Alderman Kenny. Any questions or comments? If none, roll.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
Stompanato,
Aye.
Legansky,
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
7 ayes.
The warrant has been approved. Takes us to standing committee reports. Do any of the aldermen, any of the chairmen have any information for the council? Mary?
With the July 3rd city council meeting being canceled, so will the administrative finance committee meeting be canceled for July, and the next one is scheduled for Monday, August 7th at 6 p.m. in the upstairs conference room of City Hall.
Thank you. Alderman Belzak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Municipal Services have already had their June meeting. It had previously been moved up earlier in the month. So our next meeting for Municipal Services now is scheduled for June 24 at 6 p.m. in council chambers.
Thank you. Alderman Kenny?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This evening, the police committee passed the minutes for the May 15th, 2023 meeting, and those have been signed and sent to the clerk's office. And our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, July 17th, 2023, 6 PM across the parking lot in the police training room.
Thank you very much. That takes us to questions and comments, agenda related. Anybody in the audience have any questions regarding any of the items on our agenda? If not, it takes us to old business. There being no old business, we go to our consent agenda, so please bear with me. Item A, consideration of a motion to grant a waiver of the raffle license bond requirement for the Darien Women's Club. A motion granting a waiver of the $50 a day fee for the Class J temporary liquor license for the Darien Lions Club. A motion to approve the expenditure of budgeted funds to purchase one traffic app Suite 36 month software license from All Traffic Solutions Incorporated in the amount of $7,650. Item D, consideration of a motion to approve the expenditure of budgeted funds for the payment of annual membership dues with the DuPage Metropolitan Enforcement Group, otherwise known as DUMEG, in the amount of $17,680. A motion to approve the expenditure of budgeted funds to purchase ammunition from Keesler's Police Supply in the amount of $18,968.75. Item F, motion to approve the resolution authorizing the purchase of 4 Pro License Bundle 5-year software license agreements from Axon Enterprises Incorporated using Department of Justice award money in an amount of $9,464.04 paid over 5 years. Item G, consideration of motion to approve a resolution authorizing the purchase of 33 Respond Device 5-year software license agreements from Axon Enterprises Incorporated using Department of Justice award money in the amount of $9,960.72 paid over 5 years. Item H, consideration of a motion to approve a resolution accepting a proposal from TAPCO for the purchase of 12 license plate reader poles using cannabis funds at an amount not to exceed $35,394. Item I, consideration of a motion to approve a resolution authorizing Rags Electric for the installation of the license plate reader poles at the 2023-2024 contract unit prices in an amount not to exceed $15,028. Item J, consideration of a motion to approve an ordinance amending Section 3-3-711C of the Darien City Code dealing with Tony and Tina's Deli.
No, that's
No.
under new business.
No.
Oh, I'm
Those two
sorry.
items are new
Those two.
business.
A and B stayed.
I'm sorry. Those are the two we did not move.
Correct.
Right.
All right.
Turn it
Jump to
over,
C.
it's the next page.
Item C on new business.
Sorry. All right.
Now, item J.
Consideration of a motion to approve a resolution accepting a proposal at the unit prices for sidewalk grinding from Hard Rock Concrete Cutters Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $25,000. Item K, consideration of a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the purchase of one new 2023 Ford F-550 4x4 from Kuhn Auto Group in the amount of $197,809.26. Item L, consideration of a motion to approve a resolution accepting a proposal from Monroe Truck Equipment Incorporated for the purchase of a dump body and snowplow equipment package, lighting accessories, and hydraulic controls for the 2023 Ford F-550 4x4 in an amount not to exceed $29,565. Item M, consideration of a motion to approve a resolution accepting a proposal for the purchase and delivery of new Unilock Holland Stone pavers from Illinois Landscape Supply for the Clock Tower project in an amount not to exceed $11,108, net city expense of $608 after $10,500 in credit donations. Item N, consideration of motion to approve a resolution accepting a proposal for the purchase and installation of low voltage lighting system from Terrain Landscaping Incorporated for the Clock Tower project in an amount not to exceed $16,091.33. Item O, we have consideration of a motion to approve a resolution accepting specified unit pricing from Hinsdale Nurseries for the plantings in an amount not to exceed $39,336.37 for the 75th Street landscape medians. Item P, consideration of a motion to approve a resolution accepting specified unit pricing from Illinois Landscape Supply for outcropping in an amount not to exceed $11,580 for the 75th Street landscape median. Item Q, consideration of a motion to approve a resolution accepting a proposal from J.C. Landscaping and Tree Services in an amount not to exceed $27,000 for the planting and placement of outcropping stone for the 75th Street landscape medians. And item R, consideration of a motion to approve a contingency in the amount of $5,000 for compost, topsoil, additional plantings, and labor costs as they would relate to the enhancements for the 75th Street landscape medians. Motion to approve. Alderman Kennedy, seconded by Alderman Stompanato, and the roll.
Kenny?
Aye.
Stompanato?
Aye.
Belzak?
Aye.
Sullivan?
Aye.
Leganski?
Aye.
Shower?
Aye.
Gustafson?
Aye.
7 ayes.
The consent agenda has been approved. That takes us to new business. Item A, consideration of a motion to approve an ordinance amending Section 3-3-711C of the Darien City Code pertaining to Tony and Tina's Deli. Motion to approve. Alderman Shower, seconded by Alderman Belzak. Any questions or comments? Alderman Belzak.
I was hoping Mr. Bazinski can step up and tell us what he has plans for his deli.
Yeah, I think Tony, you probably would enjoy that opportunity.
All right.
Right here?
Yes.
Essentially, we're going to be a sub shop, homemade subs and paninis. My wife would like to do charcuterie boards as well, depending on if the community would like something like that. It's going to be a more of a cozy atmosphere. We plan on putting at least a couple couches and a fireplace so people can sit and have we're going to sell beer and wine as well. So hopefully it's a place that the community will come by and hang out and grab a sandwich and a drink.
And Tony, I think you need to mention that you're going to go into what's now Uncle Mouse.
And we're going into Uncle Mouse.
Which is, but he's retiring, so he's not being kicked out, he's retiring.
I did not kick him out.
Anything else, any questions for Tony? Okay, thank you, Tony. We have a motion and a second?
Yes.
All in favor? Oh, no, go ahead, Joanne, roll.
Shower?
Aye.
Belzak?
Aye.
Gustafson?
Aye.
Sullivan?
Aye.
Stompanato?
Aye.
Leganski?
Aye.
Kenny?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, item B, consideration of a motion to approve an ordinance amending Title 5A zoning regulations of the Darien City Code dealing with short-term rentals prohibited. Motion to approve. Alderman Kenny, seconded by Alderman Gustafson, and discussion.
The only thing I can say, I think the community's been looking for this for quite some time, to limit Airbnbs from coming into our town, so we don't run into, not saying we would run into activities to what happened on Saturday, but that could contribute to it, so I'm very, very behind this.
Anyone else? Alderman Gustafson?
Yeah, and this most recent one was in Ward 6. It came up, and I did some research and stuff, and this is not, this happens in other communities by us. And one recent one in August of 2020 was Naperville. They had a major issue with the party house, and they passed this ordinance for restricting less than 30 days, and it put an end to their issue, and they never had to to issue a ticket at all. So I think that process works, and I think the 30 days is the appropriate time to get this process started.
Alderman Luganski?
And I think it's good for the community to know that if the 30 days doesn't work, it will be readdressed as
Right.
well. So we'll give it, start this, and if
Yeah.
more is needed, we're willing to look at it.
Mr. Gonda?
Just to summarize for the general public, this ordinance tonight is in reference to what's referred to as short-term rentals. In other words, no property can be rented for less than 30 days. So I just wanted to clarify that for residents and realtors that are out there.
Anyone
But Dan,
else?
but you're including realtors, and we talked about that during
Yeah.
the session. If you have a transaction where they have to rent back for whatever reason, for
Yeah.
a couple of days, that's a totally different
That is
dynamic.
totally
That's a totally different
excluded.
dynamic than the third, what that's on the books here tonight.
Correct, that is excluded, yes.
And that's specifically identified in the ordinance that it
Right.
would allow that. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Nothing else? The roll?
Kenny,
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
Stompanato,
Aye.
Leganski,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
7 ayes.
The new business has been approved, the item's been approved. It takes us to questions and comments and announcements of a general nature. Do any of the aldermen have any general announcements? Mary?
I do see Lou Mallers in the audience tonight, and I just wanted to say thank you for your service to Darien as a staffer, but I'm delighted to see you continue your volunteerism on the committee level, because you're invaluable to our community, and thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Lou. This coming Friday, as many of you know, starting June 3rd and going till September 10th, the College of DuPage is having the Warhol exhibition. And it's over 110 pieces of his art will be exhibited. They've recreated Studio 54. And it makes for an excellent exhibit. Last year, they had Frida Kahlo. They drew over 100,000 people from all 50 states and from foreign countries, and they're hoping to have a turnout again this year for Warhol. In order to promote that, they've asked communities like Darien to participate in different types of promotions. Some municipalities have put banners up on their streetlights, others are selling Warhol paraphernalia. We have decided to participate in the College of DuPage portrait contest. And what we've done is we've selected 4 individuals, all gone from us, who had a significant impact on the city. One was a humanitarian, one was a founding father, one was another founding father, more recent, and the other one was a little boy who showed us all the meaning of bravery. We've selected those 4. We sent them in. They were, quote, Warholed, and the 52 by 52 inch posters that now exist will be placed in the windows of the Indian Prairie Library prior to this Friday, but we will have a ceremony at the Indian Prairie Library this Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the cafe room. And all 4 of those portraits will be up on the windows at that time, and there'll also be smaller versions of those portraits on easels there. We'll have speakers. We'll have individuals talk about each one of those people and why they were selected. For the sake of the audience, we selected Krishan Sant, who was a great humanitarian both here and in India. We selected Sam Kelly, a man who truly loved Darien and who basically gave Darien the name Darien. We will have Fred Anderman, who is the father of the lace community back in the 1800s. And finally, we've selected Joey Ventimiglia. Joey was a little boy who had a rare form of brain cancer, but he, in his fighting that brain cancer, he showed all of us what bravery really means. And Joey is one of those 4. So if you have time at 4 o'clock on Friday to come over to the Indian Prairie Library, we'll be having a ceremony. We'll be having a ribbon cutting. We might even have some treats. It won't be a long ceremony, but it'll be our way of putting up those posters. and to commend the Public Works Department. I simply asked for them to go over there and find a way to hang 52 by 52 inch posters on the window, and John Carr came up with the solution, so kudos to John Carr. Many thanks. But if you get some time Thursday, definitely take advantage of showing up. If you can't get over to see Warhol at COD, at least stop by the library sometime and observe those pictures. They'll be up on the window until the end of till middle to the end of September. And that's all I have. You want Mary?
And the COD exhibit's going on till like September 10th, and they do have, there's tickets, but I think it's like a great opportunity to see art, and then the way it's connecting all the communities. We have our first Darien Rocks the Green concert a week from Thursday on June 29th at Carriage Greens, starting at 6 p.m. There will be food available for purchase and beverages. Bring your chair, and hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate, and it should be a great night starting at 6 p.m.
Anyone else? All right, I need to adjourn this, and then we go, or do we go?
No,
All right. Do you want to read the notice then?
You want to, okay, we're going to go into an executive session for the purchase or lease of real estate, Section 2C5 of the Open Meetings Act. You need a
You
motion.
need a motion? Alderwoman Sullivan, second by Alderman Shower. And the roll?
Sullivan,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
Stompanato,
Aye.
Legansky,
Aye.
Kenny,
Aye.
Gustafson,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
7 ayes.
And we'll be going upstairs to the conference room.
Then we have to come back down here to adjourn the meeting.
No, we can adjourn from upstairs
Okay.
because there's no action to be taken.
Okay.
You can bring your stuff up with you. Up there? Jason and Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you guys so much. Great.